All right, a quick note. Usually I have like a little text screen where I explain Photon's abilities and like what makes her so good, but I'm choosing not to do that this time because I want to see like what is better for the channel. But I want to see what y'all think about like that. Do I keep it there? Do I remove it like I'm doing right now? Just let me know your thoughts on that. But now let's talk about Photon. So Photon is insane, right? Just straight up super good. Check out this fight, for example, here. This is a rank 2 America Chavez, and she is going to go down in about 39 seconds. So, Photon is currently Decay, which is massive for her, right? Because Photon works in the way that you want to build up debuffs, and building up debuffs gives you charges for her pure light form. And that means that the Wither from Decay really just supercharges her. So she becomes an insane attacker overall, and she did that rank 2 America Chavez in pretty much no time. And Photon is a champion that persists her charges throughout the quest, so she is like Captain Marvel movie a lot. I mean, she is pretty similar to her, but there's also some things that Photon just does a lot better in my opinion. For example, her utility is a lot more meta, while Captain Marvel is, slowly falling out of the meta. I think she has fallen out, like, at this point, while Photon is just here to stay, because she builds up a lot faster, and when she gets going, it's just so crazy, man. And additionally, Photon has that crazy defensive value, so yeah, man, this champion is just nuts. Like, really nuts. So here I can just drop the SP1, and once you're in pure light form, you want to just maintain it by counterattacking the opponent's special attack, because that pauses it for about 3 seconds, which is pretty good, but this damage is just absurd, man. Like 12,000 mediums plus the energy damage, and this fight is just wrapped up. That was 1 minute and 2 seconds for Photon's first fight, and like I said, Photon's first fight is her worst fight because she isn't like ramped up at all. But now we have this Star-Lord matchup, and it's going to be done even faster. So like that's why Photon is so good, right? Because even her first fight is still really good, so she is viable for like battlegrounds. As you saw in the first matchup, 39 seconds for a rank 2 7-star is insane for a rank 1 Photon. So yeah, this champion, man, pairing her offensive capabilities with her defensive ones is just a nightmare, right? It's just so powerful. So I feel like this champion is definitely a contender for Champion of the Year. Of course, there's just so many bangers this year, man. There is Kate Bishop, Future Ant-Man, Absorbing Man, Photon, 3 out of 4 of them made by the same guy, so just let that sink in. But yeah, like so many good champions this year. 2023 is just 10 out of 10, man. Just such a fun year as well. Like all these champions have beautiful design, beautiful animations, and they are also pretty busted on both attack and defense, like Photon is. So now we have this whittled down lane. Not a big deal. Like any science lane, she takes very well because she has some standard science tropes. She has Petrify, which is very strong. Like in the previous fight, the regen was just shut off because of Photon's Petrify. And the Petrify is really good because it's really constant, and it's 80% as well. So pair it with Despair, and you have some really good heal, block, and reversal, as well as power gain reversal. So like Mystic Dispersion is also just done for as well. She also has some pretty good fight control with her taunt on the SP2. She also has Untouchable as a failsafe. So this champion just has a lot of abilities that are good for both defense and offense. And yeah, man, her on defense, I can talk about that all day. I think she is the hardest defender right now. Of course, she has her counters like Baron Zemo, Mantis especially, but without the right counter, she is just so annoying to deal with, and it sucks. It does really suck. I don't know if she's going to get rebalanced on defense because her counters like really counter her, especially Mantis. Mantis is just insane for Photon, but the champions that don't counter her struggle a lot. So it's like, I guess it's fair in that regard. Like, good defenders are supposed to make your time miserable, like when fighting them. And when you have the right counter, she doesn't really feel that way. So maybe they can like rebalance her to where she is a bit easier for the non-hard counters and a bit harder for the hard counters, if that makes any sense. I feel like that's a good direction to go with because right now she is just stomping everyone. But like, what do I know? The data is out there and like we can't look at it, right? But Kabam does. And then they decide, okay, maybe this champion is too good or not good enough on defense, so let's just adjust her accordingly, right? So I'm curious to see how it plays out. I'm also terrified for Silk's rebalance because, yeah, Silk is just really broken. But we'll see how both of those play out. So this fight right here is Continuous Thorns, and I think that's it. So basically, they will bleed you a lot, but Photon is bleed immune, so she just is herself here. Nothing like too crazy. And yeah, this fight is down in about a minute and something. A minute and 19. So like a minute plus is about her range for the first fight, which is good for these 500,000 health pools. But now let's talk about her, I guess, best thing, which is the miss counter. So her mediums counter miss, right? And this is very, very good for Ebony Maw because Ebony Maw is the most notorious miss champion, and I feel like she was designed to hard counter Maw because her mediums don't miss. In pure light form she doesn't miss. She just doesn't miss at all pretty much. So she is so good for Maw. She is good for any like miss champions that are in the game, like Super Scroll, I guess, if that matters really. Any miss node, there are a ton of those out there. So yeah, she has a lot of use with the miss counter, and it's not like she just does this, right? She does a lot more, and that's why she's so good, because she has a very good arsenal of utility. So yeah, she is just a great dual purpose champion, and I feel like there aren't too many downsides to this character. One that I can think of is maybe the pure light form pausing can have some downsides, because some champions have special attacks that are just impossible to counter. So that is a bit annoying. But then again, her SP2 gives her untouchable, so she can just miss the attack and then counter attack immediately. So besides that, I don't know of too many downsides for her. And like the damage is fine, I feel like. For a 7-star champion, this is pretty good damage output. And like right here, check out how powerful she is in this fight. So we bait out the SP1, we go back in, and we were in pure light form since the beginning pretty much because of the, you know, persistent charge mechanic. And now this fight is going to go by really, really fast. So here I drop the SP1, some pretty good damage here. Even non-crits do some pretty good damage output, but the crits are really, really strong as well. But here we do a combo, and he is now down in about 30-something seconds, which is pretty dang strong. And this is just for fun, this fight, but I want to show you how cool her Petrify is. So check this out. We parry, and nothing happens, right? But she has kinetic transference. But Photon's parry inflicts a debuff, and whenever you inflict a debuff, you place a Petrify on the opponent for 80% potency. So every time she tries to get power, you just put the Petrify on and she doesn't get the power. So it's pretty hilarious. And she's just really good at cheesing kinetic transference or even mystic dispersion, depending on how you play it. So yeah, like she has a lot of good value with her Petrify. The Petrify is very, very strong. It is good enough to heal reverse as well if you have max despair. So it's a nice ability for sure. Of course, there are champions that have like better Petrify out there. For example, Sandman, who is getting buffed, but there's been a lot of talk about the buff getting nerfed, but I'm not sure about what's happening there. I was in Vancouver when that happened, so I'm not caught up with that. I'm missing out on a ton of stuff, to be honest, but hey, at least I can just enjoy my Photon, and this fight is now pretty much wrapped up. She is just, yeah, just so good. Like, just really, really strong. But this fight's almost over. We just need to do like one more combo, and yeah, it is now down. So Photon is just a really strong champion, like I said. Her defensive capabilities paired with her attack, it's just a very, very nasty combo, and it makes her just an incredible champion overall. So let me know your thoughts on 7-star Photon. I feel like she is one of the best, if not the best pool in the Titan Crystal. So yeah, if you pull her, congrats, man. Such a great champion, so valuable for like Battlegrounds, Alliance War, just pretty much everything, right? And yeah, that's about it for me.